Here's the intro to Diary of a Madman. Key of A minor, and we're tuned to half step flat, just like the CD. The first thing we want to do is learn the chord shape. So we're going to start out by putting our pinky on the 7th fret of the 4th string, or D string. Okay, then we're going to put our ring finger on the 6th fret of the G string. And then we'll put our first finger, our pointer finger, on the 4th fret of the B string. And then we have to put our middle finger on the 5th fret of the D string, the same string that your pinky is on. Okay? So it's D7, G6, B4, and the middle finger on D5. And when we pick, we're just going to pick each note in succession, so it's going to go straight up, straight down. Okay, so that's the first chord. For the second chord, we just lift our pinky. Okay, so both of those together. Now we're going to change chord shapes. The third chord is a diminished shape pattern, but we're going to start out by putting our first pointer finger on D4, 4th fret of the D string. Then our middle finger is going to go on the 4th fret of the B string. Then our ring finger is going to go on the 5th fret of the G string. And our pinky is going to go on the 5th fret of the E string, the high E. And we're going to pick the same way as the first two chords, starting on the A. Okay. Now for the next chord, the 4th chord, all we're really doing is taking these 3 notes and moving them down a fret. So your first finger is now on the D3, your ring finger is on G4, your middle finger is on B3, but your pinky stays on the 5th fret of the high E. Okay. So those last 2 chords together, starting from the A string. Those are all 4 chords together. The next chord, the 5th chord, looks like this. We start out by putting our first finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, D4. Put our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string, B2. Then our pinky we put on the 4th fret of the G string, G4. Okay, so D2, B2, G4. Starting from the A string, we'll just pick up and down. Okay, now the next chord is kind of tricky because you're going to have to do some finger flopping here. So your middle finger replaces where your first finger was, and your first finger is going to play the 1st fret of the 2nd string, the B1. So you're going to go from this shape to this shape. So essentially all you're doing is moving from, you're keeping the same chord, but you're just moving the B string note from the 2nd fret to the 1st fret. picking pattern from all those is all the same. Go straight from the A, down, and up. The picking pattern changes for the next two chords. So if we start out on our last chord, okay, hold that chord. Put your ring finger on the third fret of the high E, that G. I'm sorry, the low E, third fret of the low E, on that G. Okay, so you're going to go from this chord to the G. Now the picking pattern, you're going to go to the G, B, back to the G, then the high E, B, G. Okay, all the way down to the D. So. Now for the next chord, you're going to put your first finger on the first fret of the low E, your ring finger on the second fret of the G string, and your pinky on the third fret of the B. Now this picking pattern is the same as the previous. Go from the low E, G, B, G, high E, B, G, D. Alright, so from the last chord of the first section. So for the last chord, we're going to go from this shape to this shape. Now this shape, we have the middle finger on the second fret of the fifth string, A2, the middle finger on the fourth fret of the D string, D4, and the first finger on the first fret of the G string, G1. Now the picking pattern is a little different for this one. I'll play it and then I'll explain it. So you're doing 3 strings at a time, starting from the E. You're doing 3 strings down, come back up 1, 3 strings down, come back up 1. And then those last 2 notes is going to be open B, 3rd fret of the B string. Hope you learn it. Post a video if you do.